So welcome everybody. We're here with Ted Lyman, who supports women in ways that help life feel more steady and manageable when it comes to money. So, what if the reason we struggle with money has less to do with what we know and more to do with how we behave around it? Well, my guest today, Ted Lyman, calls himself the Reformed Financial Advisor. Sounds good, right?
I love it.
And after years of managing money, he came to believe that traditional financial advice was missing something important. The human be being behind making those money decisions. So Ted is a former Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel, and he taught economics at the U.S. Naval Academy and has managed money as a registered investment advisor. He has written 5 books on money and behavior. So today, his work focuses on behavioral science and what he calls the behavioral wealth gap. So this space between what we know and what we should do with our money and what we actually do with it. So today is going to Ted is going to help us answer that question. And so I think he doesn't he sound like he's the person you've been waiting to hear about? Because I'm like nodding to all those. I could use some help with that, right?
Sure.
So Ted, you say welcome. First off, I should say welcome to you. You say someone can have a behavioral wealth gap and not even know. So my
Oh,
question, yeah. So my question for you is, what exactly does that mean? And how would I know if I have one?
this is a slide and a concept that came to me, a few weeks ago, working with some folks. And it became obvious to me that there was a disconnect between what they said they wanted to do with their money and how they behaved. That is fundamentally the behavioral wealth gap. It is you profess, I want a great retirement. You profess this, you profess that. However, your behavior, your spending is not supporting that. And I would submit that everybody does that to some degree. I don't think I've only met a couple of people that I say are absolutely balanced. Everything they do is right on track to their whatever the value is, because values change over time and our situation changes. But it becomes an issue the more the gap widens. And it's not an issue of income. It's an issue of behavior. And this is something we never talked about in economics. We never talked about it in finance. And as I work with more people and I do more coaching and this is really a contemporary problem that's reflective of our current culture. And that's why I
Mhm.
think this is important. And you're the first to see these slides. This is good. And we're going to have some fun. I'm going to walk you through this. My intent is give you a little different perspective as opposed to the standard talking head that is going to say, you buy my program, life gets great, or you got to do it this way. And if you don't do it this way, that's not what it's about. It's
Mm,
about you. And everybody is different. But you need to get your head around that. You need to get your arms around that. We accept it in everything else in our life. We need to start doing that with money.
yeah, true. Wow. Wow. So I'm game. Why don't you tell me how I can figure out why my money is not acting the way I want it to.
Well, here's the first thing. It says that, and I said it before, and I don't think you're going to see this slide anyplace else and anybody talking about this. And I think the visual calls it best. Align values and action work in tandem. That means if I looked at your calendar in your checkbook, it is in you're spending your time and your money such a way that you're living your life, but you're also aligned with what you want to do in the future. Most people fall someplace in the middle. Good intentions, inconsistent. Aligned, misaligned, that's where most of us are. I've never met anybody, honestly, that is totally aligned. And most people just need some fine tuning. However, conflicting means if you tell me you want to have support a orphanage in Canada, and it's going to cost a lot of money, but you're eating out every night, playing golf is the high priority, clothing and travel, but you've got a fixed set of resources. Something's got to give. You can do
Mhm.
one or the other, but you're not probably going to be able to do both. This is so different than goal setting. Goal
Yeah.
setting is, oh, you're not on track for your goal, but it doesn't talk about the other things. And when I found as a financial advisor, we'd sit there and talk about goals, but we never asked this question. And that means you could be well on track for a goal to have a great vacation, but that's not really what you want. What you want is that great lifestyle, that great retirement. Vacation is a tangible, I want to go to Europe. 10,000 bucks, 20,000, I don't know what it's going to cost you. Peace of mind in your chosen lifestyle is a value. That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. It's like some people will say, tell me about your life or let me see what you're spending your money on and I'll tell you what your values are. And you're just
Absolutely.
bringing that into a more specific view and looking at the both sides of that instead of saying, I'll tell you what your values are. You're going to say, I'm going to get you to be able to align your values with your money so that you
Absolutely.
are actually going forward
See, and
instead
I
of,
think that's the role of a good advisor, coach, partner, because it starts with understanding that we've got this ancient brain biology. I mean,
Mhm.
our brain biology is eons old, and the conventional wisdom, traditional financial planning, financial literacy says you've got this thinking brain. It's logical, it's rational, it's slow and deliberate, it makes conscious financial decisions. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. We have a feeling brain. That's where we spend most of our time. This is our default. It's emotional, it's automatic. That's what kept us alive in the forest when you're trying to cross the savannah to get something to eat, not be lunch for something on the other side of the tree line. And that is still with us. That legacy behavior in our biology of staying alive, chasing opportunity, passing on the DNA, that's our default. We spend 95 to 99% of our spending energy is caused in the feeling brain, only 1 to 5% in the thinking brain. And we have to understand and accept the fact with money that humans are emotional creatures who think. We're not thinking creatures with emotions.
Mhm.
And, I find it ironic when I talk to people. Everywhere we go, we accept that, the feeling brain. Shopping, relationships, sports, diet, lifestyle, except for money. And I don't understand how you can think that our biology, just because you go through the door to a financial planning office, you're supposed to turn the feeling brain off and all of a sudden become this rational robot that really enjoys doing this stuff and become a mini financial advisor. Life is good. And then you walk out the door, what happens? You revert to back where you were. That's the gap I'm talking about.
Okay. Okay. I get it. Okay. So go, yeah. Okay. More. Great.
Okay. And this is the myth. The myth is Homo economist or the rational man theory. That was a foundational piece of modern economics. It was really driven home after World War II because the post-World War II models were all about systems and efficiency and everybody getting in line and all that kind of crazy stuff. And computers were coming on. But it's a myth that is being perpetuated continually through the industry. And we need to break this. You got to realize that when you go spend, you even think about spending, you go and just have a thought that you're going to go to someplace that has the word Galleria in it. Just the fact that it says Galleria does things to your brain that primes you to be in a different mindset to go spend money. Because when you say Galleria, that usually means Nordstrom's, it means high-end stores, it means maybe one of those high-end luggage stores where you've got to have they have a security guy up front. They only let 5 guys in at a time. I mean, that's what that means. That's not like going down to the flea market.
Yeah.
And our brain prepares for that. And this is why it's so insidious. Dopamine picks up. Dopamine's the feel-good neurotransmitter that says, I enjoy this. I'm anticipating. Your heart rate comes up, your eyes dilate a little bit, maybe you perspire, you get excited about it, and it happens, and it's amplified by peer pressure. That's why shopping with a group of people that are all wired the same can be so dangerous. Or while you're on a cruise, it's so easy to buy that incredibly expensive cruise wear that you'll only wear on the cruise. It looks great there, but as soon as you get home in Northern Virginia and you put that stuff on, it looks a little ridiculous. Oxycontin just means we like to be in a group. We're hurting people and we automate all this stuff. So traditional economics discounts all that and believes that I just give you enough information, that if we pour on all the logic, that if we give you infinite stability, you put sticky 3M sticky notes all over the place, and says, I will do better, I will do better. No, you're fighting eons of behavior, eons of biology, and where do you think is going to win?
Biology.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much. So what are we talking about here? This is the trilogy you need to talk about. As humans, there are three things that are continually sabotaging our wallet. And it's common sense, but we never talk about this. We talk about willpower. We talk about not having guide rails. We talk about crazy emotions like greed and things like that. That's not the driver. Number one's our biology. I think I talked about that. We like instant gratification. That is a much better hit of dopamine than having to wait before Christmas when you're 6 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, our beliefs. Our beliefs and values are codified where we're growing up, usually with our family unit. But by mid-adolescence, our money beliefs are really hardwired into us. And here's a scary thought. The way you behave today with money is very reflective of the way you behaved in middle school. You just got nicer stuff. Oxycontin just means it's the neurotransmitter that says, I really enjoy being with this group of people. It's the monkey see, monkey do hormone. It means I see these people buying, having fun. I want to do that. Those are called mirror neurons. And marketers are really good at this. Why do you think when you're at Walt Disney World or Disneyland and you're going through the campus and everybody's got Disney wear on, you feel uncomfortable not wearing it? But when you get home wearing your Disney wear, you feel more comfortable wearing it than not wearing it. Think about that because everybody at Disney World is doing the same thing and having fun, part of the crowd non-consciously. When you get home, you're standing out. I'm not part of the crowd. I don't like this. That's a huge, huge trigger for spending or not spending. And then technology. Technology makes it easy to spend money on things we didn't know we needed 24/7, 365 on autopilot. Amazon will, or somebody will get them to you sometimes in less than 24 hours, which I think is amazing. If I need ink cartridges, they show up in a couple of hours. They get to my house through Amazon faster than I could drive to the store. I mean, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Now, what can I do with that? And a credit card and a finger that likes to shop online. Unbelievable. So when you bring these three things together, these are the non-conscious saboteurs, if you will, that not only create the wealth gap, but perpetuate it. You may focus on one, but how about the other two? You may have the one and two taken care of, but how three? You've got to take a look at it holistically. All three of these things are bombarding you every time you even think about spending money because your biology is ahead of the game. It's instantaneous. And if it's an enjoyable experience, they want to repeat it. This is something you got to take care of. And again, I don't know if anybody's talking about this. I think what they're saying, it's your problem, you're spending. You need to be better at it. You need to fill in the blank. No, you're human. Why are we surprised when people do human things with money?
Good question. I hope you're going to tell us the answer.
Well, we may figure it out. It's too much fun being Hammond. Okay, I've got a technical finance background. I've taught this stuff. And when I grew up and I was in school and I became an advisor, I always dealt with this stuff. time, money, rate of return gives you peace of mind. You give me enough time, enough money, reasonable rate of return, I can get you anything. But it discounts this great big orange thing in the denominator that is so important that nobody that lives up here ever wants to talk about. Your ancient brain is in charge and manages your behavior first. It takes commitment, intention, and willpower to overcome this most of the time. And as I'm going to show you as we get into this, that it can be done, but this is one of the reasons traditional financial planning, and let's talk about not maybe financial, how about financial literature? Okay, we have an abysmal problem with financial literature in the United States. Most schools don't require it. They're starting to bring it in, but you know what they're doing? They're teaching traditional finance. Okay, cool. It's nice to know what a checkbook is if you can find one anymore. It's nice to know how some of these things work, but I know of very few programs that concentrate on anything other than this. And they disregard this. And if you show behavior that deviates from the ideal, it's your problem. Because I told you how the formula works. You just need more will. You just need to save time. You need to start early. You need a better job. You need not spend so much. Rate of return, you need to go out scurrying through the market to look for a better rate of return. Well, here's the deal. You have finite time and it's very scarce. If you squander it, it's gone. I get it. Money, well, you don't have absolute control over that. How you spend, how you behave is important. But you can't just walk in and say, "Hey, listen, I got a trip planned. I know I'm a GS-15, but I need to be an SES. Can you do it in 90 days? I got to go on that trip." Doesn't work that way. And then rate of return is naive that you think you can influence this. This is a market condition. You can pick the different assets, the different stuff, but bottom line is you have more control over this down here. Behavior affects this. Behavior affects this to some degree. It has no effect over this. That's the reality. We don't talk about this enough.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it sure does. That's a good way to look at it.
So here's the problem, and I'm gonna go back to my behavioral side because one of the other things I do, I'm also a co-founder of a company called Dream Smart Behavioral Solutions, where we do the behavioral thing. And this is something I also find fascinating. Most of your listeners and most of the people I talk to have had experience with Myers-Briggs or DISC or a behavioral thing or gone through HR or whatever. Where they talk about feeling good and mindset, or you've seen a coach or been on a coaching thing. All of that is talking about natural behavior. And if you think of yourself as being an iceberg, that's the 80, 90% that's below the waterline. It's organic to you. It's natural. Your natural behavior is how you behave all the time, every time. Could be good, could be bad. I'm not to judge. I'm just saying it's who you are. But it also affects your money. Again, I think it's naive to say that I'm really comfortable doing this. You know, I'm a go-getter, do this, oh, this, or this. I'm risk adverse over here. But when I came over here, we're talking about money. I'm going to do a clean slate and start all over.
Mm,
Most of what we know about money is learned behavior, which is up here. This is what you learned in school. This is what you learn from the expert in the back seat in the carpool. This is what you learn when in the office when people are playing games with money and things like that. Learned behavior is budget apps, credit scores, spreadsheets, products, all of that. It's learning that you should save X number of dollars, you should invest certain, all of that stuff is learned behavior. This is a preview of traditional finance and financial literacy. This is life down here.
mm.
Where do you spend most of your time? Below the waterline or above the waterline, Sally?
Natural behavior. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And Sally, don't we accept this behavior in almost every other aspect of our life?
totally.
Yep. But when you spend all your time with money and you get it wrong, what do we say?
Well, then it's my fault.
Absolutely. You can do better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Concentrate. You
So the
need a what?
shame comes into this picture then too, right?
Yes. And guilt,
Oh,
shame and
guilt.
guilt.
Mm.
Now, let's put another layer on that. Do you agree that most everybody's different to some degree?
Totally. Yes, very much.
Okay. Do you think there's a such thing of even identical twins being identical in behavior?
No, they've got to have a little bit of something different.
Absolutely. So it's fair to say that if you're going to sign up for a gym class, you're going to get a behavioral assessment. If you're going to go on a diet, you're going to get a behavioral assessment. If you're going to go on a trip, you get a behavioral assessment. Where do you want to go? What do you like to do? However, if you're going to start a financial plan, what do? We
This
go
is
up
the way
here.
you're going to do it.
Yep. I've got children. I've got a family. I've got a wife. I can tell you categorically, we are all different. Do you think that creeps up here a little bit? You bet it does. I found in my experience as a planner and as a coach now and as a consultant that most issues on performance, relationships, uh, planning are because of the conflict up here, which is generated by the natural wiring down here.
Mhm.
Now, if I accept that before you start a diet or what we're going on right now, all the new diet drugs, the profile you have to go through to get that is amazing. Absolutely amazing. But we don't do that with money. I don't get it. I do not understand. So this is a very, very important slide. Your life is the total iceberg. 10 to 20% is up here, 80 to 90% is down here. This is what makes you human. This gives you skills, knowledge, and technique. So what
Yeah.
are we doing here? I created what I call a five-step money behavior system to accommodate this. It's the front end that's missing from traditional financial planning. I'm assuming most everybody here has had a course in economics or finance, or may even has a financial advisor. And I'm going to give you my story based on what I was trained. When I left the Marine Corps and became a financial advisor, I thought I was going to be out there helping people and do great things and have a great time building plans and all that. Well, what I found is we just started right here, the money plan. Hey, what are your goals? How much money you got? What do you want to do next? What do you want to do for 6 months, 12 months, 10 years? What are you going to do 20 years from now? Hey, I got the stuff that can help you do that. Time, money, rate of return. Hey, my stuff is better than your stuff. That is what most people in their mind think about when they're talking about talking to a salesperson, particularly a financial salesperson that maybe not be an upper end financial advisor. They're selling stuff. I learned very quickly because I was also very good at this. I was trained to do this. We learned scripts, we learned the products. We had a very narrow window for which we could go through and sell stuff. And I
Yeah.
learned very quickly that as an advisor, my job was to manage behavior, not money. Money is kind of easy because you just plug and chug in a spreadsheet. Behavior is tough. So what I learned that something had to change. And it changed when I became a district manager and I just had a fight with the company that when they said, you've got to sell this product, I said, it's a terrible product. I have nothing, nobody in my market that it's suited for. I'm not going to sell it. And they said, well, you're going to sell it. And I said, fine, I open my own firm. And that's where we made a major, major decision. I opened Apex Behavioral Financial Group. And I said, we're going to do this different. We're going to focus on behavior, not selling product. If we do the behavior thing right, the product is actually very easy because it's a common sense, great fit. So this is what over working with hundreds of people over a couple of years, I came up with. Instead of talking about goals, let's talk about values. What's important about money to you? Has anybody asked you that question, Sally?
Never.
Okay, but you've had questions about goals, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And then the spreadsheet comes out and this is what we're going to do. And it's
Oh,
like, I'm
yeah.
totally, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I found this fascinating because again, we talk values and everything else. When you go into a diet, what's important about losing weight for you? Because we know there's an emotional context, there's a social context, there's all kinds of things going on, and we embrace it when you're getting a diet. But in money, we never even bring the question up. What are your goals? Trust me, you give me a goal and enough time, enough money, and rate of return, I can satisfy every one of them. And if you don't make it, it's not my fault, it's your fault. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay, once we've really narrowed down on what the values are, and this also works not only with money, but it works on just about anything. Just ask the question before a major decision. What is important about this to me? And you keep asking that question because there's no other way than when you get to the end game, it makes sense to go forward. Okay, the next thing I want to know is money temperament. Money temperament is nothing more than your natural wiring. It's the 80% of the iceberg. It's who you are every day. And your money temperament with is nothing more than your natural behavior, your default when spending a little bit of money and a lot of money. It's your comfort zone. And if you're a spender, you're a spender. And the industry wants to shame you, blame you, and change you if you have a spending habit. You enjoy spending. It's an emotional thing, it's a human thing. I don't care. That's fine. But you need to know. But you can be just as dysfunctional at the other end. Cheap. It's
Yeah,
okay to feed your kids. Really, it is.
right.
And again, we don't talk about that. We don't differentiate. Everybody has a unique, and I'm going to show you in a second, a unique money temperament. Why don't we embrace that instead of denying it? And then money strategy is putting it together. So this is discover, this is uncover, this is apply. Money knowledge is not technical knowledge. It's some of it. I want to know what it is, but it's how do you process information? It's learning modality. Are you visual, auditory, tactile? In other words, in a consequential spending situation, demand that the information is presented to you in a way that works best for you. The industry does not do this. They like thick pieces of stacks of paper, small type, and a lot of numbers, and just sign here, trust us. Just think about going to a house closing. It can be a very intimidating experience. Sit at a long table, a lot of people all dressed up. A guy at the end's reading legalese. The last thing you want to do is do that for 2 hours. You just say, fine, 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 initial and move forward. If it's that important, sit down before you sign the document and demand if you're visual, pictures, graphs, colors. If you're auditory, they explain it in a way you can understand it and you can parrot it back. And if you're tactile, you go in and take it apart and look at it. Then you move to your strategy, which is execution, the architecture. How do you make this happen? The strategy is nothing more than a value-based, behavior-driven approach to get what's important about money to you. Then you come up here to your money plan, that's execution. This part is not addressed by traditional finance. This is where most start. Can you see why you might have a wealth performance gap in here by not doing this?
Right. It's almost like you skip the first two steps. I mean, you might as well just fall on your face.
Yeah, and a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Do you believe the industry is perpetuating this side or this side?
Oh, just pick one, right?
Yeah, and
Hmm.
this is what bothered me. So I started doing this. I've written books on it. My latest book is really a handbook to make this happen. But you can do this. It's not rocket science. It is brain science, but it's not rocket science. You can do this. Okay, so what am I really saying? You need a one size fits you approach to money. If your couples in a relationship have children that are spending, realize we're all going to be a little different. I find in family situation, there's always one person who is the expert, who really likes this stuff and tends to dominate it all to the expense of everybody else. There is no right or wrong. I get so upset when people belittle people because they are bad with money. Well, what does that mean? Am I bad with money because I spend it and it makes me feel good? There are consequences. I get that. There's no 100% safe investment. Every investment has risk. It's how you deal with it. How does it fit? The wealth gap is where you're in balance, not necessarily who you are. And that's fundamentally different. So the cookie cutter approach is the old way. The one size fits you approach is the way to go. Don't fight your natural money temperament, embrace it. But if you
Yeah.
embrace it and you're a spender, then you need a strategy that accommodates that. What makes it easy to save, a little difficult to get at that money, but at a certain day of the month, anything left over is yours. Drive to the Galleria.
Like it.
It's doable. It's doable. So where are we going next with this? Behavioral wellness is what I'm talking about, but a lot of people don't talk about money as leadership. I think it is. It's people, process, and performance. It's taking responsibility for your individual behavior and your values. This is where the alignment comes in. But also, it's organizational. We've all adults, we've all worked in different places. I've worked with places where budget time is awful. Talking about money is awful. That's a
Mhm.
cultural problem. And what you have to do in a leadership role, yourself starting, is understand who you are as a person, the process. How do you spend? How do you do things? And what is the performance outcome you're looking for? Do you want that value of whatever? That's personal, individual responsibility, but it goes deeper than that. Leadership is also for the family, for the next ring, the extended family, at work. If you've ever sat in a meeting with different department heads, and one might be marketing, the other one might be accounting, the other one might be operations, and you're talking about a budget line item, they all come in with their own perspective, money temperament, values, and the like. And that's why something so minuscule sometimes becomes a ridiculous firefight because everybody's coming from it from their perspective. It's very dysfunctional when it's mandated. Whoever is at the top wants everybody to behave the way they do. Again, I'll go back to HR. HR is given a lot of attitude on how we behave and act now in the workplace. There are boundaries, but it's a lot different than I first went to work. I think you'd agree the same.
Yes.
But we don't do that with money. If you've got a committee, if you've got an assignment that you're building a project and you've got to fund it, I think it would be important to know how everybody in that project thinks, acts, and feels about money.
That
Some people
sounds
take
reasonable.
responsibility for that budget like it's their money. Other people could care less. That's something you might want to know. You need to have some type of consensus. The other thing I find this fascinating, if you've ever been in a sales organization, most sales organizations make the underlying assumption that money is the major motivator. Do you think that's a good assumption?
I no, it's not a good assumption, but I would agree with you
Yeah.
that that is what they think. Yeah.
And most incentive programs are designed from the top down, not the bottom up. I had a consultancy, and I worked with one of the major departments in downtown Washington, and we're working with the SES because they wanted to figure out what the gap was between them and the workers. And we went on, and we started collecting data, and the gap between what the leadership thought was important and the rank and file was massive,
Wow.
massive. That's why when a very expensive rollout of a motivational program, a sales contest or whatever, or a structure and comp or something like that falls flat in its face because the vice president in charge of that, who rolled that thing out, built it non-consciously for themselves or the small group and committee that helped them build it. And then when they roll it out, nobody thought to ask if I care because I'm down in the trenches. I don't want another 75 cents an hour. How about coming down and saying thank you once in a while?
Right.
Okay.
That's the love language thing, right?
Yeah,
That brings
yeah,
that into it. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. But the point is, we're always wired as human. We do human things. What I'm talking about here, and I've never heard of money really talk this way before, it's a function of organizational efficiency. It's a function of wellness. It's not an accounting problem. It's much broader than that. And I think we need to start looking at it that way because we're all hopped up about having the high performing organization, having everybody happy, painting the walls, all that kind of stuff. Did anybody ask about behavioral financial wellness? What's that mean? And it's different for everybody.
Those words rarely, I've never, I mean, I think you're the only one I've ever heard of putting them together. They're usually like
Yeah, yeah,
so far apart.
completely different silos. I mean, I'll share. I'm in Nashville, which is becoming a very expensive city to live in, like any other major metropolitan city. But it's also a magnet for a lot of young college students, whatever they get their start here. The problem is to live in Nashville where you want to live, they can't afford it. That is a gap.
Yeah.
And nobody talks about that in hiring. Nobody talks about that in retention or performance. Behavioral financial wellness must understand that personal performance, professional performance is a function of money, but not the way they think it is.
That's interesting.
We
Yeah.
need to work on this a bit. So this is what I'm recommending. This is what we do. This is my latest book, Confessions of a Reformed Financial Advisor. Yep, it's mostly BS. I think the title explains all of it. And I wrote this after writing 4 books on the same subject. I wrote one with J. Alexander Martin, one of the founders of the FUBU Corporation, because he called me up and he said, Ted, my spending's out of control. It was. As a young guy, he burned through about 5 or 6 million bucks, had nothing to show for it because he was living the life he thought he had to live as a celebrity. He hated it. He had all the trappings. He was miserable. And once we got him aligned, everything came clear. I don't have, you don't need a half a basketball court in your basement. You don't need a Ferrari. I don't want a Ferrari. Then don't buy it. It's okay. All I'm saying is this book here I wrote it for people that will never read a book about money, but probably should. I don't talk about money at all in it. I just talk about behavior. There are millions of books on how to do a budget, how to do a spreadsheet, how to do this. I mean, you can get a PhD in any one of those fields. What I want you to understand, this is non-academic. It's your field manual to behavioral financial wellness and closing your wealth gap. If you go to my website, Ted McLyman, I have a 3-step guide, which is free. You can sign up. I also have a community there. It gets you a little workbook with 3 exercises that are based on the book that you can start early. Then if you want to talk to me, whatever, you can do all that. But what I'm trying to make you understand, and that's the 3-step guide, that's my website. Fundamentally, all I want to do is start the dialogue, start the discussion,
Mhm.
because the roadmap to close your wealth gap is between your ears. It's not in the bank. It's not in your wallet. It's a process, but it's also an understanding of who you are and how you work with money naturally. And then bringing that together within your immediate family, your immediate lifestyle. And if you sit down and do that very important discussion about what's important about money, and it keeps coming up with superficial things at the expense of the things that you think are truly important, your values, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
And you can have a significant behavioral wealth gap at $30,000 a year or 300. It manifests a little bit differently, but it's the same process. Something's not aligned. All I'm trying to do is number one, make people understand that money is about behavior and about people. You can
Yeah.
read all the spreadsheets and all, sign up to all the websites and all this stuff, listen to the talking heads and the guru and the obnoxious person in the carpool and whatever. And that may be all well and good. I'm not saying that stuff is not right technically, but it may not be right for you. And that's the first start to success is to understand that and nail that down. I
Yeah.
also tell you there are some very good, wonderful people in the financial services industry. those are the people you want to work with. Most of the folks, men and women that are doing this professionally, have done it for a while, are doing something like what I talked about intuitively. They may not have the same formal structure, they may not have that, but they're good people. But here's the other piece. You need to drive the conversation. It's okay to talk about some of this stuff with them. If they don't get it, tell them to read the book.
Right.
Okay, go to my website. All I'm saying is money is the oil that drives everything. Unless you want to be secluded in a cave someplace, in a mountain and hope there's plenty of rainwater, you got to deal with it. It's
Yeah,
tough
that
not
is,
to. It's becoming more complicated. It's becoming more sophisticated. You have more choice. Our brains, our biology is not catching up with the economy. I think the gap is getting bigger. AI is a game changer, an absolute game changer. I believe in the next 2 to 3 years, the traditional business of financial literacy and financial planning will be replaced with AI because that's all technical. And
mm,
people like me will fill that void.
yeah. Right, because the human factor is the thing that we'll
Absolutely.
be needing to bring in. Ted, this is fabulous. And I really want to highlight what you said about we actually hire people to help us with our money. So you said, open the door, tell them, hey, I read this book or I heard Ted talk, and he said something about this behavioral, and my values are what we should be looking at. And let them, I mean, if they are the financial advisor for you, they're going to put you first, not their
Yes,
spreadsheet. So I
absolutely.
really, oh my God, I really want to thank you for bringing this to us again, deeper than you had in the
Yes.
last time that you shared with us. So and bridging that gap with our ever expanding um, oh, but gap between the haves and the have-nots. I mean, it's just getting
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And if we can have one more, or it sounds like a pivotal tool to grab onto, that is going to change a lot of people and how they can look at their future.
Well, you bring up a good point there from your listeners. My goal, I had a wonderful experience last night. I was at a TEDx experience for young people, 18 to 21. After going to this, I am not worried about the next generation at all. These kids were amazing and brilliant, but their processing and their experience is so different because of technology.
Yeah.
And they are sponges for some of this stuff, but they're not being exposed to it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Legacy finance is fairly set in their ways. So I am serious about launching a movement. I'm hoping somebody listens to this and said, I just want to get involved. Because what we have to do is change not only the discussion, but the ground rules.
Yeah. And if I might, this is the way you can open the conversation with your kids.
Right.
You say, hey, I noticed that you're spending money. What is it about that item that had you wanting to get it now instead of maybe waiting? And, however, how do you feel when you buy something? And can
Right.
you get that feeling with something else instead of spending money? Ted, this has been so much fun. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And so what I want everybody to know, we're going to have all this info in the bottom. I mean, Ted's contact information, and where you can buy his book. So don't worry, it's going to be at the bottom. So if this conversation supported you at all, that's why we're here. So please share Ted's message, share this message with your friends, anybody that you feel would benefit, or even maybe your college kids that you really, they're living on their own. So they need this kind of
Yeah.
guidance too. So please share, please subscribe. And just remember that this information in this video is educational and informational. And please, please don't take Ted's and my experiences as personal advice. Um, you are the only one that can make that decision for yourself. And
Absolutely.
I know Ted would be a great guide for you, but you always have the choice. So thank you, Ted. This has been fabulous, and I hope to see you again. I think that would be so fun.
Sally, it has been a privilege. I love talking with you and your audience. I'm a phone call, or not a phone call anymore. I'm an email away. And it would be a pleasure to come back here. And for your listeners, if you have a specific topic that we want to hone in on, anything to do with money, money behavior, how to get this into the schools, how to fill in the blank, we'll talk about it. We will talk about it. I don't do
I
birthday
love
parties, but I will talk here anytime.
it. Thank you, Ted. I appreciate it. And bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And please, yeah, put something in the comments. Ted's going to hear about it.